from its $49 million invested in a range of cancer biotech startups, venture firm FACIT said $1.5 billion in follow-on investments has been made as homegrown knowledge is turned into investable product. David O'Neill is president of cancer biotech venture firm FACIT. He's with us now. David, thanks for being with us.
Nice to be with you, Amanda.
So this is one of the kind of holy grails of commercializing ideas. Canada has lots of them, and we're talking about why we don't do a better job of turning them into viable companies. What do you think the learning is from this, which is admittedly, you know, a very focused kind of investing? But what would you say you've learned about how to identify good prospects that are ripe for commercialization?
Well, I think, Amanda, you have to start with the big picture here in terms of, as you've already identified some of the challenges, there's a $10 trillion healthcare market. And, we have $1 billion and a half worth of medical research going on right in Toronto, downtown. But we really have almost no health products making it to market. So for cancer patients, even if we have discoveries, they're being developed south of the border and waiting another decade for them to come back. So I think if you understand how we arrived at this challenge, I mean, we invented insulin, but a lot of that development has moved to the south of the border. So the U.S. has a century lead on us in biotech, and we need to create a pathway for those health products and entrepreneurs to be successful right here in Ontario. So the problem is clear in biotech. And the Americans have essentially been eating our lunch. We've created Agios, Repair, Forbius, Pioneer. These are all Ontario-based discoveries that the billions of dollars in development have occurred south of the border.
What kind of a virtuous circle starts to emerge? And I'm assuming there is one, David, that once you have created an environment where you have expertise in identifying and then you are able to match capital with prospects, it actually kind of creates an environment where more of that happens. Is that sort of what's been happening with FACIT?
That's entirely the case, that we have started at a very grassroots level. And really, innovation comes down to people, ideas, intellectual property, and nurturing and developing those and really bending the market so that it can take place in Ontario, in our case, or in Canada more generally. And so that type of virtual cycle really has to start with capital and talent and experience. And that's hard to come by because it's a chicken or the egg situation when we don't have as many incentives in Canada for that type of commercialization. And we're very grateful that the Ontario government took that innovative step to really bridge the divide, historical divide between venture as a business and academic research, and brought it together under one roof through the Ontario Institute for Cancer Research and FACIT working together. And that was something that hadn't been done before. So we're really starting to change the dynamic between the initial discoveries that are made that would normally be exported to a receptor in the US and capturing some of the value and building some of that virtuous cycle that you mentioned right in Ontario.
And I'm assuming it also keeps and brings talent here, David. We know we have a ton of good medical research already, and it's not actually beyond the realm of possibility to say that cures for cancer will happen in downtown Toronto. We have the knowledge base here. Are you seeing more talent attracted because things like FACIT exist?
Well, I'd like to say that, there's a small part that FACIT is playing in moving that in the right direction. But I have to be honest that, there's not a lot of incentives if you are either an American or a Canadian trained science grad to leave Boston or San Francisco because there's job stability there. And so we're just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of what the possibilities are in terms of capturing all the innovation that's in Ontario and in Canada in biotech. But we still have a long way to go to make it a great environment to attract talent. And I think, FACIT is starting down that path. And we're hoping that some of the good news that's come out of our organization will filter through to some of the policy planning and build on that virtuous cycle. And then I think we're going to really see not only the attraction of talent, but just the retention of talent that's already here, that's currently leaving for better opportunities south of the border.
Such good perspective, David. We really appreciate your time on this.
Likewise. Thanks for
David O'Neill, president of cancer biotech venture firm FACIT. Time for the takeaway and what's in a name. Not long ago, Toblerone had to change its logo and remove a picture of a Swiss mountain. Turns out the chocolate maker no longer qualifies as Swiss under very careful rules that define Swissness. In this case, how much of the contents of a chocolate bar are from Switzerland. Everyone knows Switzerland is known for its chocolate, along with watches and banking. It defines the nation. But if you think about that for a minute, there is no good reason for the Swiss to own the chocolate market, since the primary ingredient of chocolate, cocoa, doesn't come from Switzerland. Turns out what the Swiss have is the intellectual rights to chocolate. A Swiss inventor was among the first, not the very first, mind you, to innovate the process of adding milk to cocoa to make chocolate particularly tasty. And the country knew what to do with that intellectual property. It protected it and helped build an industry, including passing laws that measure Swissness. It's a case study in building an idea into a successful industry, and it's the kind of thing Canada needs more of. Given that Canada is home to some of the first movers in artificial intelligence, that might be one place to plant a flag. We also do well in biotech of various kinds, and of course, our resource industry has world-leading innovation. Why not actually protect that intellectual capital and also, as a nation, get behind it? Let the world enjoy it by all means, but don't give it away before it has time to mature, so that a Canadian flag stands for innovation and quality, just like the Swissness of a chocolate bar. That involves a boldness of spending and focus that we rarely see here, but it's high time Canada learned to beat its chest a little more about the things we do get right. My takeaway? If there's a measure for whether chocolate is Swiss enough, what's the measure we need to call our winning ideas Canadian? That's Taking Stock for this week. I'm Amanda Lang. Thanks for being with us.